Hello, my name is Chuck Arnold, and this training presentation is about using absolute and relative cell referencing in Microsoft Excel 2010. Here we have a worksheet showing a budget. We're going to calculate what our new budget will be after we've applied a 7% reduction. First, let's find out the total of all these different values in this column here. We click our blank cell under the current budget. And then on the Home Ribbon's editing group, we select AutoSum. Then Return. Well, that's convenient. Now we see our total. So now we're going to figure out our new budget. We click inside our first blank cell, and this is where we'll put our formula. We'll start with equals, and all formulas do start with equals. And then we'll click on the cell value so that we have a reference. And before we go too far, let's see what 7% of this number will be. We'll type in an asterisk, which is our multiplication symbol, and then we'll click on the cell that has the percentage. When we hit return, we'll see that we have a value that's about 7% of our current value. Okay, so now let's see what the new budget will be when it's 7% less. Inside our formula, we'll place another reference to our original value, and then we'll subtract the result we just found. To do this, we'll need to remember our order of operations. The order of operations goes like this: parentheses, exponents, multiplications, division, addition, and subtraction. All math runs like this: top to bottom, left to right. We'll place a parentheses in front and behind our original equation, so that this will be performed first. When this has a result, that result is then taken away from the cell here before. We hit return, and now we have a value that is about 7% less than the original value. Let's take this formula and drag it all the way down. Looks like we have a problem. The other cell's values didn't change. Why? First, let's investigate the formula in our first cell. We click on the cell, and then we click Trace Precedent from our Formulas tab of the ribbon. We can see that the cell's contents are composed of input from two other cells, the original value and the percentage. So far, so good. Now let's click on our last cell, and then click on Trace Precedents again. Here we see that one of the input cells is actually blank, because it's holding a position relative to the original value cell's position. That's not going to help. We could put 7% into all of the cells in this column, but there's a better way, and that's to use an absolute cell reference. So let's go back to our original formula, and we can clear the arrows off with our remove arrows. And in our original formula, we're going to place dollar signs in front of the column and row references that point to our percentage. Then we're going to hit return. You can also highlight the cell reference and then hit just F4 on your keyboard. So notice that our value didn't really change, but that's okay. There was nothing wrong with the original formula to begin with. But now let's drag this formula down to our other cells. Now all the cells have values that are 7% lower than their originals. Let's go a step further and see what the sum of all these new values could be. Let's take our original total formula and drag it over to our blank cell. And yes, $93,000 is 7% less than $100,000. The beauty of this approach is that we can change this one cell holding our percentage, say, to 5%. And then all the dependent cells will change as well. We can also change this negative formula here into a positive by changing the subtraction sign to an addition sign. We hit return, and then when we drag this formula all the way down, it changes the other cells. And here in our total, we see that 105,000 is 5% more than 100,000. And that's an absolute cell reference. Thank you.